What up, motherfuckers? It's your boy, The Hater. I'm here to talk about AEW Blood and Guts. So let's talk about that shit, motherfuckers. First things first, all right? We gotta give props to AEW for putting on a pretty good episode of Dynamite, right? This was not a pay-per-view level show, but it was the closest they've gotten to a pay-per-view level show aside from their actual pay-per-views. Especially, motherfuckers, in the context of their most recent pay-per-views, which have been shit. Having matches like Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. Nobody wants to watch this. Nobody cares. Probably no one did watch it. So there you have it. There you have it. The matches were okay. The storylines, which are obviously more important, were also pretty good. So without further ado, let's get to the substantive parts of this video and of this review, motherfucks. First things first. We start off with MT Nakazawa. I'm not sure why he's been repackaged as MT instead of Michael Nakazawa, but maybe it's because MT just like, you know, it's a homonym for empty. So is that what it's called? Homonym? I don't remember. I think it's homonym. Anyways, whatever, motherfuckers. So the match is going to start. Kenny Omega basically says Nakazawa is going to wrestle this match alone. The match starts. Kenny Omega comes in, attacks everybody that's bad or that's against him. And the match starts like a regular tag match. Somewhere down the line, Kenny Omega runs away, leaving Nakazawa by himself. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley hit like a half and half clothesline combination on him. And that's the end of Nakazawa and the end of this match. This wasn't good. Kenny Omega is not an entertaining champion at all. You can't simultaneously have this like cowardly, like I don't want to fight champion and also have him have 3 world titles. You just can't. It makes no sense. And not only does it make no sense, there's no reason to do it. Why? Why is the champion being presented as a heel? Why? He has 3 world titles. Doesn't matter how afraid and cheating, how afraid he is and how much cheating he does. He has 3 world titles, motherfuckers. He could just stand on that and be like, yo, I'm like the world champion. You know, I have 3 world titles. Who else has 3 world titles? Exactly. Nonetheless, match was total shit. Nobody gave a flying fuck. Next up, we had QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes, motherfucks. Cody Rhodes obviously was going to win this match. He hit the crossroads. QT Marshall surprisingly kicked out. Cody Rhodes put the figure 4, and that was all she wrote. Eventually, Anthony Ogogo, who seems to be positioned as the number 1 guy from this stable, came and hit Cody Rhodes in the stomach with like a nice little uppercut, if you will, a body shot. It is an uppercut for him, but I'm sure in AEW, they'll call it a body shot, whatever. Uppercut to the body. Cody Rhodes goes down like he was shot by a cannon. The guy drapes the Union Jack over Cody Rhodes. Now, I don't know how I feel about this. I'd rather have Cody Rhodes beat this guy and then QT Marshall attack Cody Rhodes because he's the leader. But it is what it is. It could have some potential. I don't think Anthony Ogogo is going to become this huge star in AEW at least. And I don't think that he's going to beat Cody Rhodes. So who cares? That's the problem with Cody Rhodes, motherfucks. He has these matches and he kind of has this like sub gimmick where he's basically saying, by the fact that he has matches with these nobodies, he's pretty much saying like, oh, I'm not too good for anyone. I'll wrestle anybody. I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm not too good for anyone. But he wrestles these nobodies like Warhorse, beats them, and Cody Rhodes is like 32-2-1 or some shit like that. He has that 1 draw with Darby Allin. He has 32 wins and like 2 losses. And the losses are like someone cheated. Like Jericho cheated by low blowing him or something. MJF cheated or whoever the fuck beat him. It's people cheating. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense, motherfucks. It doesn't make any sense. He's booked like John Cena. He hasn't lost clean in the history of this company. Booked like Cena, treated like Cody for some reason. Why do people treat John Cena this way? Oh, he's underrated. Why is it that when Cody Rhodes gets booked like he's invincible, people still praise him? What is one thing Cody Rhodes does better than Cena? Absolutely nothing, motherfucks. But anyways, whatever. It is what it is. No one cares. I just thought it would be a better idea to have QT Marshall win. It was one of the only times when this would have made sense for Cody Rhodes to put someone over. He's never put anyone over in his career. Ever. He's either been too much of a jobber to put someone over, or he hasn't been a jobber. He's been treated like a main eventer and hasn't put anyone over. So anyways, it is what it is. Fuck it. No one cares. Speaking of being put over, the one person Cody Rhodes did put over was Darby Allin, who now got his ass kicked by Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Ethan Page, he has some personality, but for all intents and purposes, I have to group him with his now tag team partner, Scorpio Sky. These guys are two generic jabrones. Scorpio Sky especially, but both of them really. Scorpio Sky just looks like another wrestler. He looks like the guy that comes out on the Dark Show to lose to like Brodus Clay. You know, that's what he looks like. There's nothing special about this cocksucker. There isn't. He's not like especially athletic. He's not especially strong. He's not especially young. He's not especially good looking. He's not especially anything. As a matter of fact, I would say he's below average in a lot of those things. So what the fuck? Why am I watching this guy? Why is he getting a push, motherfucks? You tell me, cucks. You tell me why this asshole is getting a push. Now, with that being said, they beat the shit out of Darby Allin pretty well, and they threw him down like a flight of stairs, which I thought was badass, and makes me want to give Darby Allin some props up in this motherfucker. So the segment was all right. The Cody Rhodes match was actually all right. The Anthony Ogogo part was stupid. Next up, Dr. Britt Baker versus Julia Hart. I don't remember, and I don't care, motherfucks. It was a squash match. Britt Baker beat the shit out of this girl. The girl did like one move, I think. Britt Baker knocked her out, put on her glove, put the mandible claw move she has. I forget what it's called. She did that move, and that was the end of that. It was great, considering what it was. Britt Baker is the best wrestler in this company, probably, and she's the best female wrestler, I think, in the world. Because she actually has a fun character. Like, you know, a stock, but fun character. Like a stock character. She's like the entitled girl. You know, she would come out with the throne. She accepts this entitled broad, like the holier than thou, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you gimmick. But it's interesting because it's intermarried, motherfuck, with this dentist gimmick. The dentist gimmick is great. Not gimmick, but the dentist personality. It's great because she does things like puts on a glove and then puts her fingers in someone's mouth like a dentist would. You know, I like it. She has like one of the most fitting finishers ever, like in the history of wrestling. You know, her finisher actually makes sense when compared to her character, you know? It makes more sense than like the mandible claw Mankind did or Bray Wyatt's finishers. It makes way more sense. So there you have it, cucks. She's pretty fucking great. I really enjoyed this segment. I mean, for what it was, obviously, right? Next up, we had a 4-way tag team eliminator match. During the entrances, we find out that SCU has been ranked number 1 for the last 9 weeks. And despite this, they have to now compete in a 4-way match against the other 3 tag teams, the number 2, 3, and 4 ranked tag teams, to determine the number 1 contender. Why? Why? We're only in early May. We've had 4 months of this year. And you mean to tell me that in 2 of those 4 months, for the last 9 weeks, these guys have been ranked number 1 and they still have to earn a title shot? Why wouldn't they just rank themselves number 4 and then win this match like they did and still become number 1 contenders? Makes absolutely no sense. So there you have it, motherfucks. The match was all right. SCU wins after they hit the best Meltzer ever on like Griff Garrison or Brian Pillman or somebody else, I don't know. But it's really stupid because of what I just said about the rankings, and also, motherfucks, because of the fact that the storyline is that if SCU loses one more match, that's the end of that. That's the end of SCU. They didn't really explain how Scorpio Sky just left, but whatever. Like, they haven't had any issues with Scorpio Sky. He just left and they're cool with him. Whatever. Obviously, SCU is coming to an end, and obviously it's going to be at the hands of the Young Bucks. The first match of the night really established that obviously the next feud for the Young Bucks is Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. I mean, this was already obvious, but it's even more obvious now. Moxley and Eddie Kingston are not ranked anywhere because they're jobbers in the tag team division. They've had like one tag team match. But they will, believe you me, get their title shot before the number 2, 3, or 4 ranked tag team. It's just going to happen. So, with that in mind, SCU is going to break up and maybe feud with each other before Daniels like retires or some shit. or maybe he gets hired by WWE, hopefully, in some capacity. That's what's going to happen. It's over. Deal with it, motherfucks. So the match itself was okay. The storyline is shit. The rankings are complete garbage. You know, as a matter of fact, the rankings are counterproductive because people like me will never forget the fact that AEW pretends they have rankings, but then behaves as if they don't. You know, at least WWE doesn't have rankings, but you don't look at a list of rankings that means nothing. They just don't have rankings. In AEW, they don't adhere to the rankings, but every week they release like a list of a random order of people that will have basically no bearing on how the storylines or competition plays out. Whatever, it is what it is, motherfucks. Out of everyone in this match, the people that I believe have the most upside are obviously, what were they called? The Suicide Blondes. Griff Garrison, number one, and then Brian Pillman, close second. You know, these guys, I think, are going to be stars. I really believe it. I don't believe that anybody else in this match is going to be a star. The Acclaim, they're okay, but it's like you look at Max Caster, and he's just like a lesser John Cena. You know, he's just a lesser John Cena. Like, he's not as attractive. He's not nearly as muscular. He doesn't have 1/1000th the charisma. He's not better in the ring. He's not a better rapper. He's not in the right company. You know what I mean? So it's like, this guy will never be John Cena, obviously. And he won't even be like a real star, in my opinion. He's got some chance, but I don't think it'll happen. Next up, we had like a little bullshit segment between Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega comes out and pretty much tells Orange Cassidy the truth. But the irony of this is that what Orange Cassidy has to hear from Kenny Omega is what I think Kenny Omega should have to hear from the hater, motherfuckers, from the hater. The hater says, let me tell you this, the hater says that everything that Kenny Omega said to Orange Cassidy is true about Kenny Omega. Basically, Omega tells Cassidy that the fans like you because you're relatable. They could be like you, but they'll never be like me. And I'm like, no. First of all, motherfucker, this is just like the time when Ricky Starks kept saying that like he was this like pretty boy type. No. Certain things, you need to have the character for it. You know what I mean? Big Show can play the character of the guy that's never scared, of the bully. Ryback can be the bully. Bully Ray can be the bully. R-Truth can be the bully because he's strong as well. Tozawa cannot be the bully. See what I'm saying, motherfucker? Same exact logic. Kenny Omega cannot be this Shawn Michaels unattainable man like character, right? Shawn Michaels, the women want him and the men want to be him, right? Nobody wants to be Kenny Omega. Now, I mean, of course, beyond the fat neckbeards, right? It's like the Smart Buster said in their last video, cucks. Kenny Omega in the Indies would jam his thumb up people's asses and have people jam their thumbs up his ass. Who the fuck wants to be this guy? Let me put it to you this way, nerds. Let's use the high school metaphor. John Cena is the king jock, the prom king. He is the number one, the head honcho of high school. Kenny Omega is the most popular geek. He is the guy that's like, I don't know, lead trumpeter in the high school marching band, whatever the fuck the equivalent is. Now, in the past, wrestling was young men that are normal wanting to be John Cena or wanting to be The Rock when they're kids. They look at The Rock like, shit, I want to be that charismatic. I want to be that cool. I want people to like me like they like The Rock. You know? That's what they want. Nowadays, all those people have realized they want nothing to do with wrestling because they already are better than people like Kenny Omega in their eyes. So what do we have left? We have the band geeks, like the fat nerds, who are watching, and their aspiration is a very low aspiration of, I want to be the head trumpeter of the marching band. They don't want to be John Cena. They know they can't be John Cena. They can't be The Rock. So that's why Kenny Omega is popular. But as a result of what I just said, him saying this to Orange Cassidy is weird. It makes no sense, cucks. It makes no sense. The only thing he might be saying is, oh, I'm the head trumpeter, and you're the, I don't know, the fifth trumpeter, and nobody can be me. but they can beat you, and it's like, dude, you're just lowering the standard, basically. Kenny Omega is not this unattainable, like, level of you know, success. He's not an unattainably, like, I mean, he's athletic, of course, no doubt about it, but he's not like unattainably muscular or charismatic or handsome or anything like that. He's not. He's not John Cena or The Rock. He doesn't have these, like, these attributes that every guy wants. He doesn't, motherfucker. He's attainable. He's on the same level as Orange Cassidy. So this, in my opinion, fell totally flat. Nobody gives a fuck. Next week, we're going to have Orange Cassidy versus Pac, which will culminate their feud, and the winner will go and wrestle Kenny Omega at the pay-per-view. Whatever. Who cares? No one. Then we have the main event. We got to talk about this. Main event, blood and guts. There were some good, and there were some bad. I will say this, though. While watching it, I really enjoyed it. Once it was over, I thought it was shit. So that's where we stand, motherfuckers. First, let's get to the first part first, motherfuckers. The first thing that we notice in this match is that the Inner Circle, for some reason, are wearing, what's it called? Jumpsuits with the names of the prisons of their hometown written on them. I don't know why this was done. I can only surmise it's because the blood and guts match is like a prison, and they want to give off the impression of like, yo, like, we're hard, you know? We're ready to be prisoners. But it's really weird to rep your prison. It's very, very stupid to rep your prison. It's one of the dumbest things I've seen in my life. These people have never been to prison, motherfuckers. If you've been to prison, then it's natural to rep your prison because you have some sort of identity that's interconnected with your prison. Now, if I live near Rikers, or if I lived in Attica, Elmira, I'm not gonna feel any kind of, what's it called, connection to those prisons. I'm not gonna feel any connection to any prison. Because luckily I've never been to prison, motherfuckers. So that was really stupid. But they did a match, so whatever. The match starts, Sammy Guevara's out there kicking ass. He did really well up until the botch. The botch was covered pretty well by Excalibur and Tony Schiavone and a little bit by JR, as oh, he's so hurt that like he's gonna botch things. A few wrestlers in this match really felt like they weren't there. They just kept doing dumb shit, like fucking Sean Spears. He didn't do one thing that was memorable in this match, just like he hasn't done one thing that's memorable in his entire career. He came out next after Dax. It was Dax and Sammy Guevara. Then Sean Spears, I think. Then the other guy from FTR, Cash Wheeler. Then Wardlow, and then MJF. On the other side of the box, Ortiz came out second, Santana, Swagger, and then Jericho. Swagger and Jericho's entrances were really shitty. Swagger did a few clotheslines and then got his ass beat by Wardlow. Jericho came in and he pretty much just got on one of the rings while the other team was on the other ring. And they just did a stare down. They didn't really attack anybody when they came in. After Jericho and MJF came in, the match turned to shit. It just became a shitty match. Before that, even during the commercial breaks, you know, during the picture-in-picture, you can see some cool shit. Like there was a part where Out and Proud, they did like stereo pile drivers on the exposed canvas. I thought that was badass. But when Jericho and MJF met, this led very quickly to MJF like bleeding. They beat the shit out of MJF. He ran out of the ring, climbed the cage. Jericho chased after him. It took Jericho 20 years, like an entire commercial break to climb. I know that part of that might be like stylistic, but he legitimately seemed uncomfortable on the side of the cage. Jericho did. He just seemed uncomfortable. He didn't seem like he was someone that like wanted to climb it. He kept looking at the crowd, being like, "Come on," you know, like trying to get some cheers. It was weird. He goes up there, puts the walls of Jericho on MJF. Eventually, MJF hits him in the nutsack, and then hits him with the diamond dozen, whatever, you know, the diamond ring thing. And then he takes him to the edge of the cage, motherfuckers. And at the edge of the cage, he pretty much threatens the rest of the Inner Circle that he will throw Jericho off unless they surrender. Really quickly, Sammy Guevara surrenders. And he throws Jericho off anyways. Jericho falls on some balsa wood and like a cushion. So he's 100% just fine. And that's it, cucks. That was the match. Here's the problem. All right? First, when Jericho and MJF were wrestling on top of the cage, or even before, the camera ignored the rest of the match. They didn't once zoom out so we could see what the other people were doing. I understand the focus is going to be the two guys on the cage who also happen to be the two main guys in this feud. But that's neither here nor there. You have to give off the illusion that the match still matters. During this time, Sammy Guevara could have done like, I don't know, the lasso from El Paso. He could have done the lasso from El Paso to fucking Wardlow and made him tap out. Wardlow could have done some other submission move and made Swagger tap out. Swagger could have done the Patriot Log and made Shawn Spears tap out. A lot of things could have happened. But the way that the match was presented, by zooming up to the top, the implications were nothing's going to happen. Nothing below is going to happen. It is so irrelevant that we're not even going to talk about it or focus on it. This is a mistake. If you're going to have a 10-man match and focus on 2 men, you could have made it like some sort of elimination match. I don't know. And then MJF and Jericho are the last 2 people left. That way, that's the beauty of elimination matches. It's once someone's eliminated, you don't have to worry about them anymore. And the storyline changes. You have to focus on what's going on in the match still. However, this didn't pan out very well. Jericho's fall, obviously, you could tell that it was bullshit, that he didn't get hurt. That makes perfect sense, of course. Obviously, they're not going to hurt him. They had these shitty balsa wood, like, platforms that they painted like metal. I thought that was really cheesy. But whatever, I'm not going to get on their balls on that one. That's fine. But the worst part was the I don't know what to call it, but like the deviation from expectation, you know? Not subverting your expectations in a good way, but doing so in a bad way, right? The implications of a match that can only end with forfeit or tapping out is that it's going to take a lot to get someone to surrender. It's like an I quit match. Sometimes the I quit match ends like this too. Like John Cena is going to hit JBL with like part of the truck, the little truck beam thing, whatever the fuck it's called, the exhaust pipe. And JBL's like, please don't, I quit, right? And Cena does it anyway, right? That could happen, don't get me wrong. Or I think it was Ric Flair and Mick Foley, where like Ric Flair threatened to attack Melina or something, and Mick Foley said I quit, or whatever the fuck it was. Point is, motherfuckers, that can happen, that's fine. But in this match, it was presented as if it would be this sort of collective decision. And in a situation where all people have to do is make someone say I quit, they would just gang up on one person, find a weak link, beat the shit out of him or her. There you have it. It was a cop-out. It would have been better if he threw Jericho, since he was going to throw him anyways. He throws Jericho, and then Sammy Guevara says, we surrender, because they're afraid that Jericho is in serious trouble and he needs medical attention. That would have been a better thing. And it would have equally captured the sadistic tendencies of MJF. Because the premise was, he won the match, so he didn't have to throw Jericho. But he did it because he's an asshole. He's a bad guy. And that's true. But it would have been just as true if he did it to win the match. That also screams sadism and piece of shittery. There you have it. As a result of the botches, the shitty wardrobe, and in my opinion, the lackluster ending of this match, and I don't even mean to focus on the ending, like the last moments where Sammy Guevara or whoever the fuck it was says we surrender. I mean on the way that it was filmed. I have no idea what happened below. Even in a Royal Rumble where someone gets dragged from under the ring, you know, under the bottom rope, and they get like attacked with like a concerto or something, and they're out for the next 20 minutes, periodically Michael Cole will be like, oh, Roman Reigns is still out. He still hasn't moved the muscle, John, right? You'll still hear something like that, And periodically, the camera will look at Roman Reigns. In this match, they just completely ignored them. It really shows the inexperience and shitty production value of AEW. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. But anyways, beyond that, the match was interesting. More importantly than anything else, it felt like a big deal. I'm not saying this match made MJF, because I don't think he'll ever be made. I don't think he's good enough, quite frankly. But obviously MJF is the guy that got the rub from this. Now, we've seen this song and dance before. Jericho's going to be gone for a few months, maybe touring with Fozzy. And eventually, or whatever the fuck he's going to do, then eventually he'll come back. And I hope he wins the world title. I hope MJF is champion and Jericho wins the title from him. But he's going to get this victory back. Maybe he'll come back with a slightly different gimmick. You know? Just because, like, I feel like he needs to be gone for a while. So there you have it, motherfucks. There you have it. Like I said, the Pinnacle was going to win. I understand. I hate to say it, but I understand why they won and why the focus was on MJF. Because let's be real. Not one other person in the Pinnacle has the capacity to ever do anything. Wardlow to an extent, but I don't think so. Now we can expect to see something like FTR eventually winning back those titles next year or something. And, you know, Pinnacle's going to have that moment where they hold all the belts. It's going to happen. And that's it, Cucks. That's it. No one really cares. No one gives a flying fuck. Fuck the Pinnacle. Show was all right. I would even say it was good for an episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite. But the main event fell flat and was burdened by a severe plethora of commercial breaks. I know there was no way around this. Maybe front load the commercial breaks somehow. They did the best they could, but a lot of cool things happened during the commercial breaks. That's all I gotta say about that, cuz.